We currently live in a world where global billionaires hold $32 trillion in wealth, while artificial intelligence begins to map the limits of human knowledge. Yet at this very moment, 24 million people across Britain and France live in poverty. Real wages are consistently falling behind inflation, public services are buckling, and millions face actual biological hardship, skipping meals and living in cold, damp conditions. This occurs despite humanity possessing every material resource required to guarantee a high standard of living for all. As the apex species of this planet, we possess the technological capacity to automate heavy labor, generate massive food surpluses, and build a secure home for every person on Earth. The central question is why a state of artificial scarcity is being strictly enforced against the working class. The capitalist system functions exactly as it was designed to. It operates by extracting value from the people who produce it and funneling those resources upward, creating the extreme inequality in distribution we see today. The poverty on our streets is a direct result of the capitalist anarchy of production. It is a system driven by the pursuit of individual profit rather than a rational, collective plan for the use of our shared resources. In the housing markets of London and Paris, capital has turned the basic human need for shelter into a speculative commodity. In London, the average worker now spends over 40% of their income on rent, while luxury flats sit empty as investment vehicles for the global bourgeoisie, the class that owns the vast majority of society's wealth. Affordable housing schemes fail because they prioritize subsidizing private developers. The Marxist-Leninist solution is to remove housing from the market entirely, nationalize all rental stock, and treat a secure home as a fundamental human right. This same dynamic applies to technology. Under capitalism, the development of artificial intelligence leads to mass unemployment and increased surveillance. The profits of automation flow to shareholders, while the workers who used to do those jobs are discarded. Under a socialist model, these tools would be used to eliminate drudgery and shorten the working week without reducing pay. The issue is not the technology itself, but rather the fact that it is currently owned and controlled by billionaires. In the current system, the physical spaces we inhabit and the digital tools we create are used as weapons to extract wealth from the proletariat, the people who must sell their labor just to survive. To protect this global hoarding of resources, capital requires a massive enforcement arm. That is the function of NATO and Western military alliances. They exist to protect global trade routes, encircle rivals, and maintain the dominance of Western capital through proxy wars. Maintaining this shield requires a direct diversion of wealth. Every billion spent on missiles and military expansion is a billion stolen from domestic public services, like hospitals, schools, and social housing. This extraction is most aggressive in the global south. France maintains a neo-colonial empire across West and Central Africa through the CFA franc, a colonial-era currency that allows it to control monetary policy and drain wealth from 14 African nations. Resistance is growing. In countries like Mali, in Burkina Faso, and in Niger, local populations are physically dismantling the colonial military and monetary structures that have drained their resources for decades. Communists in the West must stand in unconditional solidarity with these movements. The working class has no interest in imperialist wars abroad. The true enemy resides in the boardrooms and the parliaments of the imperial core, enforcing this global extraction. We must reject the liberal narrative of degrowth, which suggests that workers should accept lower living standards to save the planet. Placing abstract nature above the material needs of the working class ignores the reality of human suffering and is a rejection of Marxist principles. Resources are finite at any single moment. When wealth is consumed in extreme luxury, private jets and super yachts, it physically leaves less for everyone else. This forces millions into biological hardship, causing disease and malnutrition, while a minority hoards wealth. Green capitalism is a fraud because it cannot distribute rationally. It reorganizes hoarding under a different label, leaving the core problem, extreme resource concentration, entirely untouched. The environmental crisis is a class question. Only rational socialist planning can manage the planet's ecology while actively raising the living standards of all people. A socialist planned economy directs production toward human need rather than profit. This involves nationalizing heavy industry and energy under workers' control, allowing for the rapid, large-scale industrialization required to end poverty once and for all. This planning allows us to industrialize beyond our own atmosphere. The universe is effectively infinite, containing hundreds of billions of galaxies. By expanding our resource base into space, we destroy the resource ceiling argument that the ruling class uses to justify domestic poverty. The barrier to this future is the current political leadership. Governments across Britain and France have imposed brutal austerity, even as the working class has demonstrated its raw power in massive strikes and pension protests. These struggles often fail because trade union bureaucracies are tied to the state and social democratic parties. In the recent rail and healthcare disputes, the leadership capitulated while the rank-and-file workers were still ready to fight. In the face of these systemic failures, we must answer the question Lenin asked over a century ago: what is to be done? Universal abundance will not emerge spontaneously. It requires the building of a disciplined Marxist-Leninist party that is rooted in the working class and capable of leading the struggle for a planned, expansive future.